Good morning, beautiful people. Today's video is about choosing yourself and embracing one's story. There's two different topics in one video. Hopefully they go together. I think they go together, but you guys can be the judge of it. So, the topic choosing yourself, in a previous video of mine, I spoke about selfishly loving you. And so this has some correlation to this topic, which is choosing yourself. So choosing yourself basically means that in everything that you do what makes you happy. Always choose what is best for you. Oftentimes in my life, I have found myself choosing the best for everyone else and putting everyone else in front of me and doing what's best for everyone else before doing what's best for me. And it came to a point where I completely just disregarded my own personal being and just disregarded my own self-care and disregarded everything that I wanted to do in my life because I was so focused on making everyone else around me happy. And all of that is good and all of that, but it comes to a point where you will find yourself getting frustrated at other people when they don't treat you the way that you feel like you should be treated. And oftentimes I have came to the conclusion where I can't get mad at other people for treating me differently if I don't even treat myself with the love and the care that I'm supposed to treat myself with. People treat you the way you treat yourself. If you don't show yourself care and love, then people won't show you the amount of love and care that you so richly deserve. And so I want to encourage you to choose yourself. Do what's best for you. Sometimes you don't need to answer that phone call, like I said before. Like sometimes you don't need to, be there for people all the time. Like sometimes it's a season for where it's about you. And it's okay for it to be about you at all times. So make yourself happy. Do what's best for you. Go and take that run. Go on that diet. Go and watch that movie by yourself. Go get your nails done by yourself. Get your hands done. Get fabulous. Or for you men, go out and go on a trip. Do something that you enjoy for you. Because you're a king and you're a queen and you deserve so much more than what we sometimes give ourselves. And so I always want to encourage you all to always choose you first and foremost. Also, the second part of this video is embracing one's story. I'm pretty sure we all have been hearing so much about Kanye West and his comments and everything like that. And I was having a conversation with my brother and I was telling him about my own personal views about Kanye West. And I personally feel like, he personally stated that he feels like Kanye West is detached. And I completely agree. He's detached from the reality of him being a black man. And oftentimes people become detached from who they are. And so I want to encourage you all to never become so high sedity or never become so detached that you forget who you are. Oftentimes people look in my school, people look at, people who are from the city like, oh, y'all always think y'all from the city, this and that. Like, y'all always talking about, I'm from Harlem, I'm from the Bronx and all of this stuff. But there's so much behind being from the city, That's where our story began. We began from growing up in the hood and surviving the hood and just surviving the poverty and the different, the different lows of life. We survived that. So I think it's so important that you don't forget where you come from. And I think that it's so amazing that people like myself, we always embrace where we come from. Like, I'm always going to talk about my city. I'm always going to talk about Harlem because you know what? This is what I know. This is what I've grown up to know. I've watched so many things. I've watched friends of mine, get incarcerated in front of my face, get locked up, doors been, knocked down just because they decided to choose a different path of life. I've seen people in front of me get killed, I've seen, so it's just like, that's my story. That's where I come from. And that's where I'm pretty sure many of you all come from. And so I want to encourage you to embrace your story. Love your story. Trust your story. Trust that your story will go far no matter what life brings. Trust that your story will speak volumes to someone. And never, no matter how far you make it, no matter you know, even like people who make it on YouTube and Instagram, no matter what, you just never forget where you come from. You never forget where, you know, for some of us, we couldn't find where, we didn't know when our next meal would be. You know, never forget those things. Those things are like key elements to your story. Like those things are key elements to your life. And your life is filled with so many different things, but the most important thing about life is being humble. And so I want to encourage you to never get to that point where you forget where you come from. Always embrace your story. Always choose you above everyone else, because if you don't choose you, no one else will. If you don't share your story, no one else will be able to see, you know, the outcome of you being from Harlem, or you being from wherever you come from. You could come from so many different places around the world, because there's so many different places around the world that experiences poverty and everything like that. But for me, I'm talking about for me, because this is where I come from. You know, this is just my story, and I'm pretty sure my story kind of relates to many of others' stories. And so embrace your story, embrace everyone else's story around you, and always be solidified in who you are, and never lose who you are. Never forget, you know, where you came from made you who you are. Because if you didn't come from this place, if you didn't know how to survive from the place that you survived from, you wouldn't really understand the beauty of the struggle. And like I said before, the struggle is the best part of your story, because in that struggle, God produced greatness. God produced amazing things, and he's still not done yet. And so I want to encourage you all to continue to choose yourself, continue to embrace one's story, and I love you all, and God bless you all, and have a good week. Love you guys.